Troops in Xiangqi. Each player controls an army of 16 pieces. The armies are usually colored red and black. 4 pieces are flat circular discs labeled or engraved with a Chinese character identifying the piece type, and in a color indicating which player has ownership. The black pieces are marked with somewhat different characters from the corresponding red pieces. On mainland China, most sets still use traditional Chinese characters as opposed to simplified Chinese characters. Modern pieces are usually plastic, though some sets are wooden, and more expensive sets may use jade. In more ancient times, many sets were simple unpainted wood carvings, thus, to distinguish between pieces of the two sides. Most corresponding pieces used characters that were similar but varied slightly. 4. This practice may have originated in situations where there was only one material available to make the pieces from, and no coloring material available to distinguish the opposing armies. The oldest Xiangqi piece found to date is a chariot piece. It is kept in the Three Gorges Museum. Generals, or kings, are labeled zhang, trad, zhang, simp, zhangyi, general on the black side, and shui, trad, shui, simp, shui, marshal on the red side. The general starts the game at the midpoint of the back edge, within the palace. The general may move and capture one point orthogonally and may not leave the palace, with the following exception: if the two generals face each other along the same file with no intervening pieces, the fei zhang, flying general, move may be executed, in which the general to move crosses the board to capture the enemy general. In practice, this rule means that creating this situation in the first place means moving into check, and is therefore not allowed. 7. 8. The Indian name king for this piece was changed to general because of Chinese naming taboos. China's rulers objected to their royal titles being given to game pieces. 9. Dubious, discuss. Despite this, the general is sometimes called the king by English-speaking players, due to their similar functions as royal pieces. Advisors, also known as guards and less commonly as assistants, mandarins, ministers or warriors, are labeled shi, scholar, gentleman, officer, guardian, for black, and shi, scholar, official, guardian, for red. Rarely, sets use the character shi for both colors. The advisors start on either side of the general. They move and capture 1 point diagonally and may not leave the palace, which confines them to 5 points on the board. The advisor is probably derived from the mantri in chaturanga, like the queen in Western chess. There is some controversy about whether shi really is intended to mean scholar, gentleman, which would be shi ren, or guardian, which would be wei shi, simplified Chinese, wei shi. One argument for the latter is that their functionality seems to be to guard, protect the general. The common Western translation, advisor, does not reflect this layer of meaning. Elephants, or bishops, are labeled shang, elephant, for black, and shang, minister, for red. They are located next to the advisors. These pieces move and capture exactly 2 points diagonally and may not jump over intervening pieces. The move is described as being like the character tian, field, in reference to the board's squares. 8. If an elephant cannot move due to a diagonally adjacent piece, it is known as blocking the elephant's eye, sai shang yan. 11. elephants may not cross the river to attack the enemy general, and serve as defensive pieces. Because an elephant's movement is restricted to just 7 board positions, it can be easily trapped or threatened. The two elephants are often used to defend each other. The Chinese characters for minister and elephant are homophones in Mandarin, listener, and both have alternative meanings as appearance or image. However, in English, both are referred to as elephants, and less commonly as bishops, due to their similar movements. Horses, or knights, are labeled ma mai for black and ma ma for red in sets marked with traditional Chinese characters and ma ma for both black and red in sets marked with simplified Chinese characters. Some sets use ma for both colors. Horses begin the game next to the elephants, on their outside flanks. A horse moves and captures 1 point orthogonally and then 1 point diagonally away from its former position, a move which is traditionally described as being like the character. The horse does not jump as the knight does in Western chess, and can be blocked by a piece of either color located 1 point horizontally or vertically adjacent to it. Blocking a horse is called hobbling the horse's leg, ba ma tui. The diagram on the right illustrates the horse's movement. Since horses can be blocked, it is possible for one player's horse to have an asymmetric attack advantage if an opponent's horse is blocked, as seen in the diagram on the right. The horse is sometimes called the knight by English-speaking players, due to their similar movements. Chariots, or rooks or cars, are labeled cheju for black and cheju for red in sets marked with traditional Chinese characters and che for both black and red in sets marked with simplified Chinese characters. Some traditional sets use che for both colors. In the context of Xiangqi, all of these characters are pronounced as ju instead of the common pronunciation che. The chariot moves and captures any distance orthogonally, but may not jump over intervening pieces. The chariots begin the game on the points at the corners of the board. The chariot is often considered to be the strongest piece in the game due to its freedom of movement and lack of restrictions. 8. The chariot is sometimes called the rook by English-speaking players, since it moves identically to the rook in Western chess. 10. Chinese players, and others, often call this piece a car, since that is one modern meaning of the character che. Cannons are labeled pow powy, catapult, for black and pow pow, cannon, for red. The names are homophones, though sometimes pow is used for both red and black. The ishi radical of hou means stone, and the huo radical of pow means fire. Both colors pieces are normally referred to as cannons in English. The black piece is sometimes labeled bao bao. Each player has 2 cannons, which start on the row behind the soldiers, 2 points in front of the horses. Cannons move like chariots, any distance orthogonally without jumping, but can only capture by jumping a single piece of either color along the path of attack. The piece over which the cannon jumps is called the pow tai, trad. Pow tai, simp. Pow tai, cannon platform, or screen. Any number of unoccupied spaces, including none, may exist between the cannon, screen, and the piece to be captured. Cannons can be exchanged for horses immediately from their starting positions. Soldiers, or pawns, are labeled zhu zhui, pawn, or private, for black, and bing bingi, soldier, for red. Each side starts with 5 soldiers. Soldiers begin the game located on every other point 1 row back from the edge of the river. They move and capture by advancing 1 point. Once they have crossed the river, they may also move and capture 1 point horizontally. Soldiers cannot move backward, and therefore cannot retreat, after advancing to the last rank of the board. However, a soldier may still move sideways at the enemy's edge. 8. The soldier is sometimes called the pawn by English-speaking players, due to the piece's similar movements. These approximate values, 12, do not take into account the position of the piece in question, except the soldier in a general sense, the positions of other pieces on the board, or the number of pieces remaining. In what follows, minor piece will refer to horses and cannons, and defensive piece, unless otherwise specified, will refer to the non-royal pieces that cannot cross the river, namely advisors and elephants. Other common rules of assessment. A horse plus a cannon is generally better than 2 horses or 2 cannons. The chariot is not only the strongest piece, but it is also generally stronger than any combination of 2 minor pieces. When the relative values of both sides' pieces are approximately even, the side with more chariots generally has the advantage, especially when one side has a chariot and one side does not. Chinese, yu che ya wu che. However, the chariot is not particularly strong in basic endgames. For example, chariot versus 4 defensive pieces is generally a draw. While if the offensive side instead has 2 horses or even 3 unadvanced soldiers, it is a win. In the earlier stages, the cannon is stronger than the horse, because platforms are plentiful and the horse is often blocked by the multitude of pieces on the board. In the endgame, the horse is stronger as an attacking piece, not needing any platforms, but the cannon generally has better defensive abilities. The values of soldiers vary in different stages of the game. In the opening and the middle game, the initiative and mobility of pieces often require sacrificing soldiers. In these stages, soldiers closer to the middle file are generally more valuable, since they can effectively join the offense. With few attacking pieces on the board, soldiers have more power and can cross the river more easily. In this stage, advanced soldiers are generally less powerful, since soldiers cannot move backward. In basic endgames, 3 soldiers starting on the 7th rank are approximately equal to a chariot. They can force a win against 4 defensive pieces or a horse cannon plus 2 elephants. While instead a chariot cannot, and a chariot cannot force a win against 3 soldiers on the 7th rank when well defended.